Hey everybody, it's Senator Wiley Nickel. I am very excited to be here today with North Carolina's Attorney General Josh Stein. Wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on my end on the state Senate. The legislature is coming back into session less than a week. We will be back on April 28th to do some work on COVID-19 and a state response to the coronavirus. And as we know, we still are the only state in the country that hasn't passed a full budget. We've got a lot of stuff that we need to focus on. Fixing our unemployment insurance program. We are last in the country in terms of the amount of money that we pay out. We need to make some fixes there. We need to make sure everybody has access to the ballot. Those are issues that I'm going to be working on. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to move forward with quickly. Those are things like making sure vehicle inspections don't have to happen right away. No taxes if you haven't, no interest on taxes if you haven't paid right by April 15th. So a lot of good fixes we're going to make quickly on some things. Some other things, we have more work to do, and I hope we will get there soon. But on to Attorney General Josh Stein. Wanted to introduce him here and tell you a little bit about him. Also, for those who don't know him, he grew up in Chapel Hill and graduated from Dartmouth. Has a law and public policy degree from Harvard University, and worked as a legal counsel in the United States Senate. 8 years as a senior deputy attorney general, so he knows the office very well, and served as a state senator from 2009 to 2016. Represented a lot of area in Western Wake County that I represent, so I like to say that I'm representing most, if not all, of Josh Stein's district in the state Senate. So really glad to have him and talk about the work of his office. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Justice has been, along with so many other state workers and agencies, working tirelessly to protect North Carolinians from would-be scammers and con artists looking to make a quick buck off of other people's bad situations. Attorney General Josh Stein is going to tell us more about what the Department of Justice has done to deal with these folks and how his department is helping other people in need during this tough time. So Josh, thank you so much for being here. Anything you want to say or before I get going with some questions that we have from folks in my district and elsewhere?
I'll give some preliminary comments, Wiley. Thank you for hosting this Facebook conversation. This is just a terrible situation for so many. Nearly 250 people have died from this virus here in North Carolina. Thousands more have been impacted physically by it, and hundreds of thousands. We're now about 700,000 people have lost their jobs, and people are staying at home so that we can effectively slow the spread and keep more people from becoming sick and dying. And it's really been inspirational to see everyone pull together to try to help us do everything we can to get past this. It's first and foremost a public health crisis, but there are a lot of things that actually fall into the work we do. Things like consumer protection, protecting people from crime, and work that we're doing to try to help people who've been really turned upside down because of economic dislocation. On the consumer side, we've been fighting scammers, trying to make sure everybody understands the types of scams that are going on so that they can protect themselves and their loved ones. We're going after price gougers. We've had more than 1,500 price gouging complaints since the governor declared the state of emergency. On the criminal justice side, almost all crime has gone down, except for we've seen an uptick in domestic violence. And that's not really surprising because people are being forced to live in close quarters. There's incredible strain, stress in people's homes. And so the Chief Justice Sherry Beasley and I issued a joint statement urging people who have any concerns to know that the courts remain open for them, and that if they need, and where possible, we want the courts to use video conferencing so people don't have to get into the same room together. So we hope folks take advantage of that. For parents of children, school-age children, kids are online more than ever. They're usually on the internet, but now they can't go see their friends, so they're on social media, they're doing their schoolwork. They're spending so much time online. We have some very good tips for parents to protect kids online. As it relates to people's economic conditions, we're doing everything we can. We're not collecting any debts on behalf of the state. We know people want to pay their bills. We expect them to pay their bills, but just not at this time because folks are struggling just to keep their head above water. Worked with the governor on an executive order affecting people's utilities, rent, for mortgages, other types of credit, telecommunications, their internet service providers, all that stuff. We want to work. Anybody who is owed money, we're asking them, give people space. Understand that 700,000 people have lost their sources of income. They need to get food on the table. We know that they have to pay you back for what they're not paying you today. It's just have them do it over time so that they're not hit with these big ticket items all at once. So just today, we sent a letter, a bipartisan letter that I organized with the Tennessee Attorney General, Herbert Slattery, and 27 states, I believe, signed on to it, urging the FCC, but urging all the telecommunications companies, the cell phone and internet service providers, do not disconnect anybody for non-payment. People need to stay connected to the world for information, for school, all manner of things, for social connectedness. Don't disconnect people. Don't put on late fees. Give them at least a few months of breathing space. And when they do pay you back, don't demand all that money at once. Give them 6 months at least to pay you back. So that's the kind of work we've been doing at the Department of Justice.
Well, thank you so much. And as a parent with a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, the helping kids stay safe online certainly is an issue for us. Screen time is a big deal. What's the website that people should visit for information about keeping their kids safe online?
All of the stuff that we've been doing is ncdoj.gov/COVID-19. If you go there, it's chock full of information. And we actually just put up a new page there. And if you just Google NCDOJ and economic relief, NCDOJ economic relief, just Google that. This will be the page that comes forward. It's a list of resources for people who are in financial distress, who've lost their jobs. It has, we unfortunately can't solve everyone's problems, but there are other agencies around that can, and we've created this resource page. So if you have questions about unemployment or your relief payment, or if you're small business lending, if you lost your health insurance, if you need child care assistance, student loan issues, all of these things that people are stressing out about because they don't have a source of income, we have one page where it gives folks a list of people they can contact for each of those issues.
Great. Well, so one of the, I think the big thing that I've certainly heard a lot about, and I know your office has been working on, price gouging. What can you tell us about your work for price gouging?
As I mentioned earlier, we've had about 1,500 complaints. About half of them are grocery related. Food and toilet paper, not surprising, but we've seen masks, hand sanitizer, cleaning products, all the things we need. We are investigating each one of those complaints, and we've sent out what we call investigative demands of certain sellers to get the information we need so that we can determine, did they violate the law? And if they did violate the law, we will aggressively enforce it against them. After the 2 hurricanes hit southeastern North Carolina a couple of years ago, we ended up bringing something like 7 actions against 22 different defendants, and we won settlements and awards of nearly $750,000 to return to North Carolina consumers.
And what about other scams? What are you hearing about other coronavirus related scams? I know your office is at the center of that kind of stuff. What's going on there?
A lot, unfortunately. I mean, most people are motivated by good. When they see people struggling, their heart softens. They want to do whatever they can to help people. There are heroic stories about retailers staying open, making sure that their communities have access to food. Restaurateurs, they're hanging on by a thread, making sure they continue to feed the community. But there are some people who are just not good people. They're greedy, and they see this as a moment to steal from folks. And they're doing it by telephone, by text, by email, by social media, even door to door. And it may be about, you have the disease, send me money to get antibiotics, or we have some home testing system, or we have a miracle cure. And we've started to see some about the economic recovery payments, where they're saying, we're from the IRS, we need your bank account in order to deposit the money quickly, to try to get people to give over their bank account number. So basically, folks just need to be suspicious. There are greedy people who want to exploit people's fear and uncertainty to steal their money.
And I definitely want to encourage people to go to the Department of Justice website, ncdoj.gov.
That's it.
And what about, what specifically, what's the work that you're most proud about that your office is doing to help people who are, like so many out there, experiencing economic hardship because of the effects of COVID-19?
We want to keep people from suffering even more than they are. I mean, people, they're scared. They don't want to get sick. They're worried about their economic futures. So we want to keep, if they get scammed in that environment, it's just that much more heartbreaking. And so we're trying to prevent those kinds of crimes from happening. We're doing a lot of public education. We're going to go after the price gougers, and we want to do everything in our power, whether we have the authority of law or just the ability of persuasion, to urge people, industry, anyone who is owed money. It could be a landlord, it could be a bank, it could be a telephone company, it could be a credit card company. Anyone who is owed money, just understand folks don't have the means. They're struggling. They've lost their job. In North Carolina, more than 700,000 people have lost their job in the last few weeks. That's an unfathomable number. And so we just want them to give people breathing space. And then when they do get back to work, it's impossible for them to not only pay that month, but all the other months in arrears at one time. We want no balloon payments. Work out a payment plan that people can pay over time.
And one person here in Wake County I've spoken with is Lauren Freeman, the district attorney in Wake County. One of the things she said is police, her office, they're spending a lot of time enforcing the stay-at-home orders. That's taken a big amount of time from other things that they'd like to be doing. So, I think it's always important to stay home. Staying home saves lives. That's a good way to help law enforcement. But domestic violence, it certainly is, unfortunately, a bad effect of this, where you have people where they just can't go anywhere. What again were the resources, that folks should what should folks do if they are a victim of domestic violence and they're, certainly isolated and stuck in that environment?
If they fear for their life, they absolutely should call 911. If it's not an immediate threat and they want to get on the phone with somebody who has experience, on our webpage, which is that ncdoj.gov/COVID-19, there are toll-free numbers that somebody who has domestic violence or sexual assault concerns that they can phone. If you are depressed and you're worried about your mental health, there are toll-free numbers on that webpage that you can call to get help. Because I'm so blessed. I'm married, happily married. My wife is here. My daughter, my son is here. I have a network to help me get through this stuff. But there are a lot of people who are home alone, and we need to be there for them. And so, by the way, to the extent your viewers are there, call your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, twice as often as you normally do. FaceTime them. Reach out to them through social media, anything. Just stay connected with people, because we don't want people falling into despair.
Well, listen, thank you so much for talking with us. I think this is really helpful information. And, I for one, appreciate all the work your office is doing to help folks right now. People are, working around the clock to make sure that our government, our state works for North Carolina. We are all in this together, and I know we're going to get through it together. Attorney General Stein, will you take us out here and finish up this chat?
Sure, Wiley, and thank you for convening this and giving me an opportunity to talk to people in my old Senate district. Is it still Senate District 16?
It is, yeah. No, we still got. Thankfully, we got the number.
It's the best one. The best one. No, thank you for doing this, and I appreciated what you just said. That this is something that is affecting all of us. It's something where the solution requires all of us to do our part. People are. We need to give time, and we need the testing and the tracing and all that work that needs to happen. We need the vaccines. We need the treatments. And the longer we're able to keep this thing at bay and really exploding in this state, and by the way, North Carolina has one of the lowest per capita death rates in the entire country. And so I want to thank Governor Cooper for his leadership. And as long as we can delay that wave, all this other stuff that needs to happen can come along. And I know folks are working tirelessly to get us there. We are going to come to the other side. The economy will restart. And what we want to do is make sure that people can get to that other side as painlessly as possible. And we at the Department of Justice want to stand with you to achieve just that.
Hey, thanks again. Thank you so much.
All right, Wiley, you take care.